Hello everyone. Today we are going to see the first chapter in geography, which is resources. First, let's see about what is geography. The word geography comes from two Greek words. Geo means earth and graphos means to write about or description. So the word geography means to write about the earth, in other words, the description of the earth. Geography is the study of earth and its peoples, places and environments, the discovery of the world around us and how people interact with their surroundings. Synopsis of the lesson. In this lesson, we are going to see the following topics. The first one is introduction. Next, what is a resource? How does something become a resource? Then we have types of resources. There are three types of resources like natural resources, man-made resources and human resources. Then we have conserving resources. Finally, we have conclusion. Students, now look at these things like cloths, utensils, food grains, combs, bottle of honey, books. Each of these has a use, right? That is why they are important. These are resources. Now, let's see what is a resource. Anything that can be used to satisfy a need is a resource. In other words, any object or substance, living or non-living, that has utility is known as resources. Here, utility means usability or usefulness or helpfulness. Students, look around you and observe. You will be able to identify many types of resources. The water you drink when you are thirsty, the electricity you use in your house, the rickshaw you use to get home from school, the textbooks you use to study, all are resources. Sometime your father has prepared a tasty snack for you, right? The fresh vegetables he has used are also a resource. Water, electricity, rickshaw, vegetable and textbook have something in common. They have all been used by us, so they have utility. Here, utility means when any object or thing takes the form of a usable resource, it is called utility. Utility or usability is what makes an object or substance a resource. Now, let's see how does something become a resource. Things become resources only when they have a value. Its use or utility gives it a value. All resources have some value, which means every resource is valuable in its own sense. Value means worth. Some resources have economic value and some do not. Example, metals may have an economic value, a beautiful landscape may not, but both are important and satisfy human needs. So these are considered as resources. So the meaning of value is worth. The importance of a resource lies on its economic value. For example, metals may have higher economic value than that of landscapes. Both of these examples of resources are capable of satisfying the needs of human beings. Here we can see the pictures of metals and a beautiful landscape. Another example, A resource has some value, right? The value can be associated with money, that is, you have to pay money to get it, or just mental satisfaction. For example, when you look at a beautiful painting or scenery, it feels pleasant, so the painting or scenery has utility. Some resources can become economically valuable with time. Example, grandmother's home remedies are not economically valuable today, but if they are patented. So what is mean by patent? It means the exclusive right over any idea or invention, and sold by a medical firm tomorrow, they could become economically valuable. Let me explain this. The economic value of some resources changes with time. For example, the herbs that our grandmothers suggested for certain illnesses may have no commercial value in today's time. However, if you get these remedies and herbs patented using certain procedures and sell it with the help of a medical firm, the economic value of those remedies and herbs would increase directly. Two important factors that can change substances into resources. These are time and technology. So, there are two factors that are responsible for changing substances into resources. These are time and technology. So, what is meant by technology? It is the application of latest knowledge and skill in doing or making things. People themselves are the most important resource. Their ideas, knowledge, inventions, and discoveries lead to the creation of more resources. Each invention leads to many others. Example, the discovery of fire led to the practice of cooking and other processes, while the invention of the wheel ultimately resulted in development of newer modes of transport. Let me explain this. Both time and technology are important for completing the needs of people. Even we people are an important resource. The creation of new resources have taken place only because of ideas, discoveries, knowledge and inventions carried on by people of different places. Every discovery and invention has led to several newer ones as well. Once fire was discovered, it led to people learning to cook as well. Similarly, as the wheel was discovered, different modes of transport were discovered. Time may also be a factor involved in making a substance a resource. Water has always been there, but its utility to manufacture electricity was not always known. When people realized that water can be used to produce electricity, then water became a resource in a new way, which means as the creation of hydroelectricity with the help of technology was introduced, the fast flowing water has been identified as an important resource. Next, we are going to learn about types of resources. There are three types of resources like natural resources, man-made resources, and human resources. Now, let's see about natural resources. Resources that are drawn from nature and used without much modification are called natural resources, which means those resources which you can easily draw from nature and can use them directly without any further modification are known as natural resources. For example, the water found in lakes and rivers, the air around us used for breathing, minerals of different types, soils. All these are examples of the natural resources that are present around us. We use all such resources directly. These are also free gifts from nature. Next, we are going to learn about man-made resources. So, what is meant by man-made resources? The resources which are created from natural resources through human resources are known as human-made resources. For example, buildings, bridges, roads, etc. Human-made resources means when the original form of natural resources is changed by human beings to make it more useful, then it is called man-made resources or human-made resources. Next, let's see about human resources. People are human resources. It refers to the quantity and abilities of the people. In other words, human resources means people are human resources. Education and health help to make people a valuable resource. Now, we are going to learn about natural resources. Many of natural resources are free gifts of nature. These can be used directly, but in some cases we have to use tools and technology may be needed to use a natural resource to utilize it in best possible way. Natural resources are classified into different groups depending upon their level of development and use, origin, stock and distribution. Natural resources also called as gifts of nature. So what is mean by stock of resource? It is the amount of resources available for use. The first one is on the basis of level of their development and use. Natural resources can be classified into two. The first one is actual resources and the other one is potential resources. So what is mean by actual resources? Actual resources are those resources whose quantity is known, whereas potential resources are those resources whose entire quantity may not be known. Actual resources are being used in the present, whereas potential resources are not being used at present and could be used in the future. This is due to the present level of technology is not advanced enough to easily utilize these resources. Examples of actual resources are the dark soils of the Deccan Plateau in Maharashtra, coal of Germany, petroleum in the West Asia. Examples of potential resources are the uranium found in Ladakh is a potential resource that could be used in the future. The second one is on the basis of origin, the natural resources can be classified into two. The first one is biotic resources and the other one is abiotic resources. Biotic resources includes all the living things, whereas abiotic resources includes all the non-living things. Examples of biotic resources are plants and animals, etc. Examples of abiotic resources are soil, rocks, minerals, etc. The third one is on the basis of stock, natural resources can be categorized into two. The first one is renewable resources and the another one is non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are those which get renewed or replenished, which means fill something up again or refill quickly, whereas non-renewable resources are those which have a limited stock. In renewable resources, some of these are unlimited and are not affected by human activities such as solar and wind energy, while careless use of certain renewable resources like water, soil, and forest can affect their stock, but storage and drying up of natural water sources is a major problem in many parts of the world today. Whereas in non-renewable resources, once the stocks are exhausted, which means completely used up, it may take thousands of years to be renewed or replenished, which means fill something up again or refill. Since this period is much more than human lifespans, therefore they are considered as non-renewable. Examples of renewable resources are solar energy, water, soil, forest, etc. Examples of non-renewable resources are coal, petroleum, natural gas, etc. The fourth one is on the basis of distribution, natural resources can be further classified into two. The first one is ubiquitous resources and the other one is localized resources. Ubiquitous resources are found everywhere on the earth, whereas localized resources are found only in certain places. Examples of ubiquitous resources are land, water, air, etc. Examples of localized resources are copper, iron ore, etc. So, the distribution of natural resources depends upon number of physical factors like terrain, which means land, climate, and altitude, which means height. The distribution of resources is unequal across the earth. Next, we are going to learn about human-made resources. Natural substances become resources only when their original form has been changed. For example, iron ore was not a resource until people learned to extract iron from it. Technology is also a human-made resource. People use natural resources to make buildings, bridges, roads, machinery and vehicles, which are known as human-made resources. Next, we are going to learn about human resources. People use the nature in the best possible way, using their knowledge, skill and the technology. Therefore, they are considered as human resources. Education and health help in making people a valuable resource. Next, we are going to learn about human resource development. Improving the quality of people's skills so that they are able to create more resources is known as human resource development. So let me explain this. As people gain skills, knowledge and technical advancements, they start making good use of nature so that more resources could be created. This is the reason why humans are also considered as a significant resource, which means important resource. With the help of education and health, people are transformed into valuable resources. The improvement of different skills in order to create more resources is known as human resource development. Do you know human resource refers to the number, which means quantity, and abilities, which means mental and physical abilities of the people. Though there are differing views regarding treatment of humans as a resource, one cannot deny the fact that it is the skills of human that help in transferring the physical material into a valuable resource. Next, we are going to learn about conserving resources. So what is mean by reserve conservation? Using resources carefully and giving them time to get renewed is called resource conservation. What is mean by sustainable development? Which means balancing the need to use resources and also conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. Most of the natural resources are limited in stock. Conservation of resources refers to using natural resources carefully so that in time they can be renewed and continue to be used in future. So what is mean by sustainable development? Which means carefully utilizing resources. Here utilizing means using. So carefully using resources and balancing the need to use resources and conserve them for the future is called sustainable development. Due to the excessive exploitation of water, here exploitation means use. So due to the excessive use of water, shortage of water is being faced at many places. Due to excessive use, coal and petroleum are also going to be exhausted in the near future. There are many ways of conserving resources. Each person can contribute by following the 3 R's of conservation for sustainable development. The first R is that reduce consumption. The second R is that reuse as many items as possible. And the third R is that recycle discarded items. Here discarded means waste or unwanted items. So recycle waste or unwanted items wherever possible. Here are some easy ways of conserving resources. The first way is that make shopping bags with discarded cloths. Here discarded means waste or unwanted. So make shopping bags with waste or unwanted cloths. Then make baskets with bamboo sticks. Switch off electricity when not in use. Next, prevent wastage of water by checking leakages and closing taps when not in use. And finally, reuse water for washing and watering plants. Next, we are going to learn about some principles of sustainable development. The first principle is that respect and care for all forms of life. The second principle is that improve the quality of human life. The third principle is that conserve the earth's vitality and diversity. Here vitality means liveliness or energy. Diversity means variety. So conserve the earth's vitality, which means liveliness or energy, and diversity, which means variety. Minimize the depletion of natural resources. Here depletion means use. So minimize the use of natural resources. The next principle is that change personal attitude and practices towards the environment. The final principle is that enable communities to care for their own environment. Now we are going to see the conclusion part. The future of our planet and its people is linked with our ability to maintain and preserve the life support system that nature provides. Therefore, it is our duty to ensure that all uses of renewable resources are sustainable. The diversity, which means variety of life on the earth, is conserved. Then the damage to natural environmental system is minimized. I have enclosed the classwork instructions in the PDF. Kindly refer it. So now we have reached the end of this session. Thank you.